it okay if we record this?
Sure, no problem.
Sir, can you introduce yourself?
I am Mr. Ganhinhin. I am a grade 11 chemistry teacher. I'm Migui's chemistry teacher.
Yeah. So, and we're gonna talk about Ateneo switching into co-ed. Ateneo Senior High School switching into co-ed. So, sir, what is your take on the implementation of co-ed in Ateneo Senior High School in the upcoming years?
Okay. During the past few years, or at least, Ateneo has been experiencing a lot of changes. Primarily because the Ateneo is shifting to the K-12 program, the K-12 type of education, the K-12 education. And since we are shifting from our current style into K-12, that will entail lots of changes. That's common sense. But and one change would be Ateneo accepting girls in the senior high school level. But you have to understand first that in a senior high school, it's a separate unit compared to the junior high school. The junior high school is the grade 7, 8, 9, and 10. It is kind of like the high school that we know of now. We're shifting it down a bit. In grades 11 to 12, it's kind of like first year and second year college. So that senior high school will be co-educational in terms of the system. Now, what is my take on that? Well, honestly, if I were to be, if I'm tasked to be a teacher in a senior high school, I'm quite afraid, because my experience, my 3 years of experience, it has been about all boys. Like, in terms of how I gear my lessons, it's in terms of all boys. I'm not sure if I'm ready to face the developmental challenges of girls in the teenage years or adolescent girls. I'm not yet sure, because like what you experience physically, physiologically, like a lot of things as male students, it would be quite different when it comes to female students. It would be very different if you put them together. So honestly, I'm a bit apprehensive because I'm not sure if I'm ready. That's one. Second, I'm not sure if I'm ready to face all the changes in curriculum, face all the changes in how I teach my subject, face all the changes that will happen in school. Of course, having girls would entail a different way of dealing with things. And that is a daunting task for us teachers if I will be assigned to the senior high school.
Sir, why is the school doing this? Why do you think?
Okay, why is the school doing this? Well, according to Father Jet Villarin, when he gave us a talk about finalizing that Ateneo Senior High School will be open to girls, according to him, since I forgot about the specifics of it, but in essence, because of the movement to the K-12 curriculum, in the public schools, there will be certain batches of students wherein no one would accept them in college. So you have high school students in the public school that they don't have colleges to go to because they lack the 12 years or the 12 years of basic education, and or the number of years in the basic education required by that time. And when that happens, so you have like two batches that are floating, two batches that cannot go to college because they lack a certain number of years and they can't really go somewhere, but since they want to go to college. And that is where the Ateneo will come into play. The Ateneo will be one of the schools which will accept those two batches of public school students coming from all over the country. So we are opening our doors to students from the public schools. And since we're doing that, why not open it to, just a certain number? Let's just open it to other Ateneos as well. The other Ateneos are also co-educational systems. So why not open it a bit also? So from that idea that we're actually catching people or helping people who might be out of place eventually. That's why Ateneo, that's the main reason, it's the main driving point why Ateneo is moving to a co-educational system.
Interesting. how will this affect your style of teaching?
Oh, wow. That's a very good question. Well, it will not just affect, it will change how I deal with things, how I teach. You know, based on my experience, if I get mad at my students, all boys, after a few minutes, everything's okay already. They've forgotten that I got mad at them. Like in your class, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if the same is true for when they're girls. I'm not sure if the words that I use will be you know, if I'm not sure if the words that I use or whatever I do in school, I'm not sure if I'm already sensitive enough to the needs of the girls. So there might be words that might be too harsh for girls to you know, to hear, but for boys it's okay. So that's one. Also, since I'm teaching science, it's inevitable to touch on issues that are taboo in general, like for example, sexuality, sexual reproduction, and whatnot. So these things, it will be quite different when I approach this with girls as how I will approach it with guys. So that's a very important. That's one thing that, you know, how will my teaching be changed.
How will this affect Ateneo's reputation? How do you think it's affect?
Well, in terms of Ateneo's reputation, I'm not sure. I've been in the Ateneo my entire life, so how I see Ateneo's reputation, of course, is tainted with, you know, with the bias that I have. But in terms of the reputation of Ateneo to the outsiders, that I'm not sure. But you know, if the goal is nation building, ultimately if the goal is to help the people who are in need, then this is very good for the Ateneo. And having more scholars is actually good for the school. The higher the number of scholars in a school, it's better for them. It's actually good for the rating of the school. That's something that that's something that how do you call this? That in terms of the ranking, that's very good for the ranking of the Ateneo. So, in general, if the goal is really nation building, then it's good for the school.
That's it, sir. So thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yeah.